Thank you everyone for joining us today on the Lock Ransomware Out webinar. As Tom said, I'm Steve Lowe, the Sales Director at Titan Data Solutions. We're a specialist distributor of data storage and cybersecurity, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Quantum and Veeam. We're going to talk about how together this great partnership brings a multi-tiered and scalable solution for protecting against data loss. And by way of introductions, very pleased to be joined by Nigel Houghton, the EMEA Director of Alliances from Veeam. He's going to talk us through Veeam Backup and Replication version 11. We've also been joined today by Liam Clifton, the Regional Sales Manager at Quantum. He'll be talking us through efficient backup recovery archive solutions from Quantum, and also he's just going to run over some classic Veeam and Quantum use cases that we worked on. And then I am also delighted to be joined by Richard Martin, the Distribution Sales Manager for Quantum in the UK. He's going to talk about some of the fantastic and new introductory partner programs that Quantum have released and incentives for some of our customers who are joining us today. So without further ado, over to you, Nigel.
Thanks very much, and hello to all. So Nigel Houghton. I've been working at Veeam for a while. I head up the Alliances team and working very closely with Quantum. You can build this slide out completely, but just wanted to provide a very quick overview of where we are right now. You've probably seen some of these in the press, but certainly Veeam as a company, software company, has grown. And I put that largely down to the fact that the industry is coming to where Veeam is, and that is leading that part of the backup space centered around hyper-converged infrastructure. We've by far, we've innovated really well, and we've provided some really strong technology integration with Quantum and other alliances, to be able to give lots of value to customers in terms of not only protecting data, but more importantly, how quickly they can recover. So let me explain what this slide is about. Down the left-hand side, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of where we're at right now. We're adding roughly 4,000 new customers a month worldwide. We're pushing very strongly into the enterprise space. So we've always been known as kind of an SMB mid-market play, but our enterprise customer base is growing extremely rapidly. And that's primarily because the use cases that we address are affecting these large companies very, very aggressively. And the biggest one, that key driver on the right-hand side, the one we're talking about today, and it's no great surprise, but ransomware is a huge driver for us engaging with customers together to protect them against this real problem that customers are having, and that we're seeing in stories every single week in the UK about companies that are suffering as a result. There's a really good use case that we're coming out with in a couple of weeks' time about a software programming company in the UK, a games manufacturer, that had a ransomware attack and recovered from it extremely quickly using Veeam software. We're seeing a lot in the compliance space, but our core value to our customers is about recovery speed, and this is again where we're focusing with Quantum in bringing that out. It's okay being able to back data up, but being able to recover quickly, to recover from an outage, is the most important part. And with things like our instant VM recovery, which I'll talk a little bit more about on the next slide, that's important because we're able to stand up data where the backup resides, and not having to do a complete data restore before you can spin it back up again. We're doing a lot now with cloud workloads, especially in the public cloud, but our biggest growing product today is backup for Office 365, and it now supports Teams. So you can imagine in the pandemic, the use of Teams has ballooned, and people requiring to protect that data just as much as before. And again, it's a cloud-based workload, but over 50% of our customers are bringing that data back in-house onto in data center technology solutions. And then the last one, which is kind of new for this year, is around the protection of containers. We made an acquisition last year, a company called Kasten that leads the container data protection space. Very, very similar methodology to Veeam. So, the fits are exceptionally good. Their focus, again, is about instantly recovering container-based workloads as well. So very, very good fit into our story. And this piece in the middle is about the fact that we protect what you'd expect, which is the virtual workloads based around VMware, Microsoft, and Nutanix, but also physical machines, so Windows, Linux, and AIX and more, but also endpoints, and then lastly the cloud piece. And the secret sauce that we do, which I like telling partners, is that when we back it up, we create a common image. This is what this image on the top right is supposed to be showing. And that image is you can then recover that or restore that anywhere else. So having that common backup image is really important. It allows you to recover data even though you're not using Veeam software. It allows you to recover it on another hypervisor in the public cloud. It allows you to back up public cloud and restore it back to the data center. So there's a lot of kind of mobility around the workloads that we provide as well as protecting these days. So the next slide talks about the instant VM recovery piece and where that's going. So again, we can use that by utilizing the quantum infrastructure that you're going to see, especially around the disk space, to be able to stand up backed up images. And you can do that into an on-demand sandbox like you can see there. And it allows us to guarantee recovery and replication before you need to do it. So it allows you to test very quickly the backups that you've made. And you can do that in situ overnight. It doesn't need to be done at the weekend as was the traditional method. You can do a staged restore, so you can restore it to the sandbox, test it, do some tests on it before you put it back into production. One of those processes is obviously running antivirus software or malware protection to make sure that the image that you're bringing back isn't still infected with an older copy of the ransomware version. And then also you can use that in what we call our data integration API. So you can stand up backed up copies of VMs and you can do data analysis on them. And again, we're starting to see companies using this as a way of building out a data lake for AI applications. So it kind of, again, a little bit of the secret sauce of what we're doing that you probably don't know about. And that leads to my third and final slide, which is about version 11. Which comes with a huge disclaimer at the bottom, which is that it's under NDA. So I'd rather you didn't take a screenshot of this and put it out online, because this slide is going to be presented tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time. You can subscribe to that on that link at the bottom. But I've had special dispensation to show this slide to you, to show you a little bit, give you a bit of a taster of what's coming out with version 11, which is launched tomorrow at midday UK time. And that is that we are helping customers recover from data faster by introducing continuous data protection. We are very, very clear around the risk of ransomware. So having a hardened Linux repository is absolutely key. And in fact, I saw yesterday that we've just received our Cohasset report to say that they agree with our way of storing that. So it means that ransomware not only just attacks your data, but a lot of these guys are pretty clever and they're attacking your backup data as well. And you're going to see why having tape is really important in that space, but also having secure repositories. We're also implementing further implementations of around S3 and object storage. And again, we've got a great tie-up with Quantum that you're going to see there. And we're expanding our instant recovery functionality as well. So we're making it more powerful, being able to recover multiple VMs simultaneously, which just makes things so much better. And then if you're a service provider, we're providing a whole slew of different features that will allow you to provide cleverer and more granular backup and DR services. So that's it from me. A very quick introduction, but you're going to see how this slots in with Quantum's messaging. And I say, if you want to know more, don't write me an email because I'm not technical. But if you want to see that, then I'll put the link in the chat. You can subscribe and sign up if you want to that link, or you can certainly find it on the Veeam homepage. Thanks very much for that, and I'll hand it over to Richard.
It's Liam actually, but
Liam, sorry,
I'll answer to anything. Okay, good morning everybody, and thanks very much for that, Nigel. I'm Liam Clifton. I'm Quantum's Regional Sales Manager for the UK and Ireland. I look after our end user business in those territories. What I'm going to do today is to show you how Quantum builds on all that really great stuff that Nigel talked about, and how we're the only vendor to provide multiple target solutions that make the most of that feature and functionality. So without further ado, who are Quantum? Well, we've been around for over 40 years now. It was our 40th birthday last year. And for 20 years of that, we've been managing video and unstructured file data. And for even longer, we've been working in the backup space as well. We have about 30,000 active support contracts, just slightly less than that in terms of number of active customers. And we work in pretty much every geography and every vertical market that you can think of. The backup portfolio is part of our secondary storage portfolio, and that includes our object storage software, ActiveScale, our Scalar tape libraries, which I suspect are possibly the most well-known part of our product portfolio, and our DXI purpose-built backup appliances, DTUP appliances. And underpinning all of those is DCS, Distributed Cloud Services, which is a full suite of services, including professional services, managed services, and actually providing equipment on customer premise as a service. One of the great advantages of having multiple different target options is that Quantum with Veeam enables you to achieve the most effective 3211 data protection. So keeping 3 copies of your data on 2 different types of media, in this example, a dedupe device and a tape library, with 1 backup copy off-site but online, and 1 backup copy which is securely offline. That achieves the best potential for ensuring that you have backups that work, continue to work, are recoverable, and cannot be changed by anybody else. As you can see from this slide, we do have a number of different options, and we're going to cover those all briefly in the time that we have. So you can use our Quantum ActiveScale object storage as a Veeam target. You can use our DXI backup appliance, and or you can use our tape library. And we'll see how all of those could possibly integrate well with Veeam, and how well certified they are with Veeam. If we look at the DXI devices, we have full integration with the Veeam VDMS, the Veeam Data Mover service, and that's since version 9.5. And as Nigel's just pre-released, we will be from tomorrow looking at version 11. So that's been around a little while now. On version 10, we introduced a feature called Fast Clone, and we'll see also how effective that is in reducing the backup window still further. We talked about the instant VM recovery earlier. This is a significant feature, and it's probably the one thing in terms of the integration that system admin guys get really, really excited about. This is a real lifesaver for them, being able to do instant VM recovery. And the other great bit of integration, which very often gets ignored, is DXI continuous replication. This improves the SLA for the recovery time objective because it actually allows for the data to be off-sited more quickly. And we'll see how that works a little bit as well. So what is the integration with Veeam Data Mover Service? Well, Veeam needs a couple of data movers to be able to function. You need a source side and a target side data mover. What the VDMS integration does is to effectively remove the requirement for a separate target side data mover and to embed it in the DXI device itself. That has several significant advantages. When you start a backup or a restore, it's automatically installed and started. There's no kind of manual process to do that. But the advantages include shorter backup windows, because you get significantly better performance, reduced network load, because there's a lot less hops across the network between the different data movers. It does actually give us slightly better reduction rates as well. So you get more bang for your buck in terms of being able to put more data onto the DXI device. But probably the two largest benefits are that instant VM recovery that we talked about, being able to spin up that VM without having to move it back immediately to a VMware host, and the synthetic fulls on DXI. A lot of people will support Veeam. Very few people will support Veeam fully and enable those synthetic fulls, and it makes a massive difference on purpose-built backup appliances. We've actually gone a stage further than that. So as well as just supporting the synthetic full backups, we also support fast clone. Fast clone helps to create really quick file copies and then increases the speed of that synthetic backup. The big advantage of fast clone is that rather than copying data blocks between files, it actually just references those files if they already exist. So they're only copied if they need to be copied, i.e. if they're modified. You might not think that that would make much difference, but when you're putting together synthetic full backups, it makes a massive difference. If you look at the total time for a typical backup, and this is a real world example, using a synthetic full without fast clone, the total time was just over 5 hours. With fast clone, it's significantly less, 21 minutes. It's a massive, massive difference. And if on the very, very small print of the slide, you can read inside the blue box, you'll notice that the total time for creating that synthetic full is actually significantly less. I think it's 13 minutes, whereas without fast clone, it's about 4 hours, 5 hours. So it's a massive, massive difference using fast clone, and this is a quantum advantage that is absolutely significant for our customers. Why would you look at DXI? Well, DXI is a purpose-built backup appliance. It's not just a bunch of disk hanging off the back of Veeam. It uses variable block length deduplication to make the most of the disk savings. And it's a commonly accepted fact that the built-in dedupe with Veeam and plain disk is about a third as efficient as using variable dedupe with DXI. So that makes massive savings, both in terms of cost, but also in terms of space and power consumption, because you're running about 3 times less disk to work on a DXI compared to using plain disk. We talked about the replication engine. So the big advantage with continuous replication from Quantum is that as soon as a backup job is started, we can start to replicate. It's another Quantum unique feature, and it means that off-siting time is significantly faster. Most backup appliances will require the job to finish before you can start to replicate, whereas we save all of that extra time by starting the replication as the job is actually working. We have industry-leading storage density, and we can actually store 2 petabytes in about 20 U of rack space, or a petabyte in 10 U with the DXI 9000 and 9100 devices. That's incredibly dense. And as we find more and more that data centers are colos and rack space actually cost customers real money, that density is really, really important. Unlike a lot of the vendors out there, we're able to use multi-protocol access simultaneously on the same platform. And by using global dedupe, it means we have significant advantages. And the case studies that we have are both customers who've moved from other backup applications to Veeam. And one of the things that they loved was the fact that on their DXI, making that transition across to Veeam was really easy because we could support their existing backup vendor, and we could integrate with the VDMS at the same time, but they didn't need masses of capacity to do that because the block pool at the back held that data in a common block pool. And we are actually integrated with all of the leading backup applications. Without doubt, our best integration is with Veeam, and we have some great unique functionalities we've seen, but we do support all leading backup applications. One additional feature, a bit of a pre-release on this one as well, is DXI Secure Snapshots. This will be released in code in March this year, so another 3 or 4 days before it's actually due out. And this is effectively DXI first level defense against ransomware. It's a really, really good way of effectively using disk to mitigate against ransomware. And what it does is to create a separate snapshot that's put into the DXI in a location which can't be addressed through the network. So the backup application itself can't actually address those. They're kept for a specific time, and then based upon that retention policy, they are automatically deleted. An admin can choose to restore those snapshots via a management interface in that time scale before they're deleted. Why is it effective? Well, there's no data path access. It's not a mounted backup file system, so you can't. It's not going to be susceptible to the generic attacks that ransomware hackers will use. You can't use the DXI GUI or the REST API to delete the snapshots, so they're very secure. And you can't use non-root authorized access to delete them either. So as a first step against ransomware, DXI secure snapshots make a really, really compelling case. So moving on to tape and how we work with Veeam on the tape side of things. The traditional use of tape was for daily backups, and that's kind of migrated over time into weekly or monthly falls going to tape, and applications such as Veeam using dedupe devices for the daily backups. The tapes were then frequently sent off-site to somebody like Iron Mountain. Other off-siters are available, and that gave you the off-site part of the DR protection. The dedupe devices could replicate somewhat between the data centers, and again, that gives you an element of DR protection, but is probably better for business continuity. The downside of that traditional use of tape is that tape handling is a bit of a pain, and trying to get data back from tapes at Iron Mountain has a long cycle, so you've obviously got to wait for those tapes to come back. The new case for tape is much more about offline rather than off-site. So you're still doing your daily backups to disk. Weekly and full can very often be sent to the cloud or to another DXI located elsewhere. But those regular backups to tape are primarily there for ransomware protection. And those tapes are kept on-premise in a library, but they offer full ransomware protection because of the air gap. And we have some additional functionality, which is, again, unique to Quantum, which provides even better ransomware functionality than a tape library typically would. The great thing about that, the cloud or the DXI replication is for your offsite DR. The tapes are on-site, but with air gapped, so there's no need to handle the tapes, and they're there for restore when you really need them. They're not stuck in a vault somewhere on a mountain. On our i3, i6, and i6000 libraries, we have a piece of software called Active Vault. It's optionally available. It's incredibly low cost for what it gives. And it allows you to store tapes in the unlicensed part of the library. And it has the significant advantage that within that unlicensed part of the library, there are no drives, there is no network connectivity. So data is backed up to tape in the normal way, and the administrator can then use the policy to export the tapes to the active vault, as we call it. This secure in-library vault, as far as the backup application is concerned, those tapes are on a shelf somewhere. They could be at Iron Mountain, as far as the backup application is concerned. And the only way that they can be retrieved is by an administrator using a command into the GUI in the tape library to put them back into the backup application partition, at which point the administrator can see them. It's a really, really cost-effective way of getting 100% ransomware protection with a full air gap. If you want to be truly belt, braces, string, and sealing wax, you can, of course, add on to that worm media, write once, read many media, and or encryption. A lot of people will look at encryption as a necessity because of the industry they're in, and a few people are even looking at it as an adjunct to Active Vault to further increase the available protection. I'm not going to cover the portfolio in any great detail other than to show that we have from 25 through to more than 12,000 slots capability, significant number of drives. Whatever your requirement for tape, we have the ability to handle it and to use Active Vault to make that ransomware safe partition. The last string to our bow is our active scale object storage systems. These are a recent acquisition for Quantum, and we're very, very pleased to have them. We've been working with ActiveScale for a very long time, so it's a product that we were very familiar with. When the opportunity to buy the product came on the market, we jumped at it because it's a great product. It scales much smaller than most people believe that it's likely to. So the P100E3 on the left-hand side can start from as little as 100 terabyte capacity. And at that level, it makes a very, very effective starting object storage system. And as we work through from left to right, we end up with the capability to scale up to 74 petabytes raw, about 55 to 60 petabytes usable. And we offer that massive scalability, durability, and cost efficiency with ActiveScale. It is an S3 compatible object storage, so any S3 capability can address it. And we have a very, very good 3GEO capability, which allows you to set the system up so that you can even lose an entire site and not lose any data at a significantly lower head than straight replication between two systems or using public cloud. Strengths of ActiveScale: we don't use a ring or RAID layouts on our disk. We use something called bit spread, and what that means is it's significantly quicker to rebalance and to write data out in the first place. And when you're talking 74 petabytes of spinning disk, that is significant. We have this 3GEO capability, so synchronous access to all content wherever it is, and really, really strong protection for disaster and business continuity. The ActiveScale will actually provide up to 19 nines durability. So we're talking fractions of a second per year of downtime. Unusually, for high-class object storage, it is incredibly easy to manage as well. And this is one of those side benefits which, again, gets lost in translation somewhat. But it is incredibly easy to manage. And we have more than one customer who are managing hundreds of petabytes with just a single admin person. It is that easy to use. The other great thing about ActiveScale is that we have Veeam, is Veeam-ready object storage with immutability. So we are able to provide an immutable data repository, which is Veeam ready using ActiveScale. Okay, that's a very brief whistle-stop tour through the technology. As you can see, we truly do have something that will fit pretty much every eventuality to work with Veeam and to make the most of those great Veeam features. We have a couple of use cases. I'm not going to go into them in much detail. University of Bristol and Coventry and Warwick Partnership NHS Trust are both Quantum customers. They've been DXI customers for a few years now. Both of them were using other backup applications. And as we started to integrate more with Veeam, and as the Veeam product developed into the really fantastic product that it is now, the synergies between Quantum and Veeam were such that both of these customers decided to work and move their backup application to Veeam. They're both very happy customers. They're both very happy to speak to people. They are also printed, documented case studies. And I would encourage you to either reach out to your Titan account manager and ask for a copy of them, because they're great reading, or jump onto the Quantum website, have a look at them. Okay, I think that's probably quite enough of me talking now. I'm going to hand over to Richard to talk about the partner program and how that works.
Thanks very much, Liam. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I'm conscious of time, so this is going to be a bit of a whistle-stop tour of our Quantum Alliance partnership. You've heard from Nigel and from Liam how Veeam and Quantum can help you sell more product. What I'm hoping to do here is show you how we can support and reward our partners in the channel by working together. One quick plug: if you have got any questions, please use the Q&A in the chat, and we can fly through those at the end. So with my best Chris Whitty impression, next slide, please. Okay, so what Quantum have done is we've relaunched and reset our partner program, which is really around growth with our new products, and it will introduce more training, more awareness, and more financial incentives for our partners around rebates, spiffs, etc., etc. So we're launching 3 new partner levels. These won't actually come into effect until probably September, so we're giving everybody a long road to lead up to the partner level, so everybody will be effectively on the same level to start with, but you will see the partner levels that we'll settle into and the rebates and the requirements around each partner level as we go forward. Next one, please. Okay, so we have 3 levels: registered, premier, and expert. Registered is for somebody that just does ad hoc business with Quantum, so there's no real interaction and no requirements. But for the premier and expert side of the business, we will be giving product access to all products and services. We will require for the premier 2 salespeople to take training and 1 pre-sales, and for the expert 4 sales and 2 pre-sales and 1 technical expert engineer. But the process itself is relatively simple. You sign up to the agreement, which is on Quantum Alliance. If you're not already on Quantum Alliance, please join. There's a link at the bottom of the page. And the training itself is not onerous. It's a couple of hours, and you can come in and out of it as you want, so it can be done over a period of time. The benefits of doing that is obviously you get up to date on all of the new products, and Quantum are launching products quicker than I can even remember them at the moment. We've purchased 3 companies in the last year, so that shows you the rate of growth that we're having. But as you can see down the bottom, for a premier partner who reaches a very low threshold, in my opinion, of $250,000 a year, you will get a 2% rebate paid on that. And for the expert program, there is a 2% rebate paid quarterly if you're doing $500,000 or above, and an additional 2% on qualified specialty products. So there is a real benefit to joining and getting your pre-sales and sales teams up to speed on Quantum, because you will receive a reasonable payback on what I think is a very low entry number, and of course it's not capped, so plenty of opportunity to earn lots of money. Next one, please. So we also have SPIFs. So we've got new business opportunity program where you can see for the salespeople involved in that, there is rebates based on the value of the deal. So sale to a net new customer can get you a 4% payback. A sale to a current Quantum customer can get you a 2% rebate. And if we have to go to special pricing, which is our SPR, net new customers would get 2% and existing customers would get 1%. So if we sell at normal price, you're going to get either 4% rebate or 2%. And if we have to go to SPR, that will be obviously half because margins are reduced.